For more on the Heat going cold, let's welcome in Michael Wallace. He covers Miami for ESPN.com. Michael, after the loss, Miami thrice anything but happy. You were at their post-game news conference. Describe the body language of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh.
I mean, it was almost as if this team, those guys were at a funeral or they had lost a loved one or something like that, because they really didn't want to be there. They showed up super late for the press conference, or later than they normally do, and those guys really show up late on an average game night, so they were even later than that. And when they got there, you saw, LeBron sort of rocking back in his seat. Chris Bosh had his head in his hands. Dwayne Wade never really looked at you, in your eye. He sort of just looked down and gazed. And it really looked like a team that was really shaken after this latest loss.
End-of-game execution issues continue to be a problem for Miami, Michael. What is the remedy? Who will be the guy to take charge late?
They still haven't figured that out, and that is the problem. I mean, for 3 quarters, they're fine. I heard Rick Bucher saying that LeBron James lost confidence in his jumper and his three-pointer. Well, that wasn't the case in the first 3 quarters. I mean, LeBron had made, almost 8 or 9 consecutive baskets shooting from his mid-range shots. But at this stage, they just don't know. The roles just aren't clearly defined in the last minute to 30 seconds of a game. Plays are being broken off at a bad time. They're not running through all of their options. And Spoelstra always talks about trust. And right now, that trust seems to be an inconsistent factor with this team right now.
Trust not the only problem. The Heat are struggling against teams with winning records and will face a huge test against the NBA best Spurs tonight on ESPN. Michael, gauge the Miami panic meter heading into tonight's game.
Well, I think right now it's one of those situations where they're defiant. I mean, one thing about this team is that they're always going to be confident. They're always going to put on that air of a swagger, and they're going in here saying all it takes is one game for everybody to forgive what happened against Chicago, New York, and last night against Orlando. If they beat the Spurs, they beat the best team in the league, even though they're without Tony Parker. So this team is never one that panics to a certain degree. They always seem to respond to adversity pretty well, but they're right in the midst of adversity right now.
Michael Wallace chronicles the Heat. Be sure and read him on ESPN.com.